Well, the former Angolan president's son, Jose Filomeno dos Santos, and a former central banker, Walter Felipe da Silva, are facing fraud charges. The two are among several suspected of defrauding the central bank by transferring money to HSBC Holdings and Standard Chartered. The prosecutor's office in Angola said that $500 million was transferred from the regulator to allegedly guarantee a $30 billion financing deal. A document showed the $500 million went to a Credit Suisse account, but that document was forged. So the money turned up at an account at HSBC instead, where it was flagged to authorities and frozen. Jack Parrock is live in London. He joins us now with more on this story. Jack, how did this massive fraud get uncovered? What set off the alarm bells?
Well, essentially, it was when that money landed in the HSBC account here in London. And HSBC is saying that this situation is proving that its anti-fraud measures that it's taken recently after a number of scandals are now working. Essentially what happened was this $500 million that was transferred from a Standard Chartered account that's linked to the Angolan Central Bank arrived at the HSBC bank, and they immediately flagged it up, and that's where all of this investigation really started from. As you mentioned, it was meant to, under the documentation, arrive in a Credit Suisse account to lock in a $30 billion financial deal, but it never arrived in that account. It arrived in the account in HSBC, and that is why this scandal is now breaking out.
So another bank, Credit Suisse, is also implicated in this scandal. What have they said about the matter?
So Credit Suisse is essentially saying that they have no record of alleged fraud or any forgery. They're not aware of this, but they do say that they're looking into the investigation, that they're cooperating, and that they're offering all the information that they can.
And Jack, what's happening with the two suspects in the matter, Angola's former president's son, Jose Filomeno dos Santos, and the central bank governor, Walter Felipe da Silva?
Yeah, I mean, this is a really significant sort of scandal that's now breaking out, and this investigation is going to go deep, and also it's incredibly significant. The Dos Santos family, and specifically Jose Eduardo dos Santos, he was president in Angola obviously from 1979 until 2017, and his replacement, his successor, João Lorenzo, essentially has been saying that he had to come into this country to rid it of corruption, and this scandal is really putting political weight into the new president's hands. Now, it's an interesting situation, though, because the younger Dos Santos, Jose Filomeno, is saying that he is cooperating, that he flagged this up, that he's working with the central bank and with prosecutors. But you have to remember, he was also the head of the Angolan wealth fund that was worth $5 billion in itself. So there'll now be questions about his role in that, whether there was any fraudulent activity there. And as far as the former head of the central bank, Walter Felipe da Silva, questions will now be asked whether he had someone on the inside currently, even though he no longer holds that position, that allowed them to conduct this fraud. It's going to throw the Angolan financial system into, well, it's going to put a lot of questions about a lot of transactions, and we can expect some thorough investigations, I think, in the coming weeks, months, years.
So, Jack, what has the UK's crime agency said about this matter?
So the Brits are now saying that they essentially froze that money back in December and then January when they heard about it, when HSBC alerted them. The UK crime agency is saying that they still have the $500 million seized, and that they do expect to be sending it back to the Angolan authorities as and when that's possible. We don't know when that will be at the moment, but we understand there's close cooperation there, and that eventually this $500 million will return to the Angolan Central Bank.
All right, Jack Parrock, live for us in London. Thank you for joining us, Jack.